What do you do for a living? Main streams of income. How long did it take?
How do you find spaces to work while traveling?
Do you reach out to people or let them find you?
Can you make a living without a big social media following?
Yes.
Hi everyone, and as you can tell, we are not in Colorado anymore. This is one of my best friends in the world, Hannah, and I wanted to bring her in on this week's YouTube. One, because we're here together, and two, because I think she can add a lot of really valuable insights into this week's video. So if you follow me on Instagram, I asked in my stories what your questions were about making money remotely. So this trip that we're actually on here in Mexico it's not like a work trip in the sense of like we have a boss and they're paying for us to be on a trip, but it is a work trip in the sense of like we both work remotely and we wanted a little break from winter and we wanted to just come do something fun together. And so we're working while we're here. We have big chunks of time each day dedicated to doing work on our computers, finding Wi-Fi, doing that whole like digital nomad thing. And then we have big chunks of our day where we're like surfing and laying in the sun and, you know, maybe having a margarita or whatever. So I wanted to answer your guys' questions about what it looks like to create a lifestyle like this, because I know that I get a lot of them, and I figured if it just was all in one place, it would be super, super helpful. And because I'm kind of in like half vacation mode, half work mode, this video is gonna be much more simple. Like I'm not gonna vlog any of it. It's really like literally just gonna be a sit down and like Q&A.
Conversation.
Yeah, just a conversation. So without further ado, let's jump in.
What do you do for a living? Main streams of income.
Yeah, there were a lot of different versions of this question. So I have multiple streams of income, and I have for a while, and I highly recommend it. I know Hannah does as well. And I think that when you are moving into the online world, sometimes that makes it easier to do this full time,
Yep.
to have those multiple streams of income. So I make money more or less in three ways. From Instagram with collaborations with brands. I make money from my online health business, which was actually how I started the location independent work. I think a lot of people think I started with Instagram, and it's actually the reverse. The location independence came from working really hard actually and building an online health business, which has now transformed into the Abundance Project. And then from there, I was traveling more and doing more cool stuff, and so like my Instagram started to grow, and so those opportunities actually expanded, but that was after the fact. And then I've been a yoga teacher for about 7+ years now, and I still teach yoga here and there. I love it so much. I am not on a regular teaching schedule anymore, but I still have my private clients, and I sub whenever I can. Maybe I'll break down a little bit of how I make money with each of those, because that was another part of the question. So with Instagram, it's pretty straightforward. There are a lot of different ways you can make money collaborating with brands on Instagram if you do have a larger social media following. I really kind of keep it specific though. I don't really like doing affiliate links and things like that. So anytime you guys see like a code with my name, I'm not making money from you guys using that code. It's literally just for you. I work with brands that I know, that I use, that I love, and I just get paid to share their product on my page. I will never work with a brand that I don't love, that I don't use. I turn down way more than I say yes to, so just know that like so many requests get filtered out before it ends up on my page. So yeah, to me, it's really important that everything I share on there is authentic. So just know that if I'm working with a brand and I say I love it, I actually love it. Like I really do. I do really like whatever I'm sharing on there. When it comes to my health food business, like I said, this is what got me going. This is what got me into the location independence world. I don't even know how to break down the day-to-day of that. I do a couple different things. I help people with their personal health. Like I help people set up programs to get their own health in order. And then I also mentor people in building their own health businesses. Hannah actually and I, that's how we initially connected, but kind of like Hannah slid into my DMs.
Yeah, that's That's a very important part of this story.
Yeah, she slid into my DMs, and then, but anyways, our relationship started with me mentoring her and building a health business, so that's part of it. And then yoga teaching, like, I think that's pretty obvious. I teach yoga,
Not because you have to, because you want to, which is very cool.
The yoga part used to be my full-time income, and now I only teach because I love it. I definitely make a lot more money in the other things that I do, but it feeds my soul in a way that most other things don't. So I will teach yoga for forever. But I'm super excited for you guys to have Hannah here, because she also works location independent, and her story is totally different than mine, and I think it will give you guys some perspective. So do you want to answer the same question?
Absolutely. So it's really funny, because originally when I started following Arielle on Instagram over 2 years ago, I was just like, how does this girl do it? Literally just like everyone asking questions about how she makes money. I just asked her, I'm like, what do you do? How do you make money? And that originally was about the health business and the Abundance Project. Yeah. And that was my first real introduction to working remotely, the opportunity to grow a business from your phone, from your computer. And I was all in. And I mean, I was all in, but it also required me to push through a lot of my own personal boundaries. Breaking through a lot of walls. And then from there, I was working in marketing, and I have a great skill set of creating content, of creating systems, and Arielle was looking for a virtual assistant. And I was like, let's freaking do that. So that really opened my eyes to the fact that I have skills that people need, and it does not need to be from an office setting. So I've been doing virtual assistant work for over 2 years now, and it's been incredible. First with Arielle, and now I have some other clients that I've been doing work with, and it also opened my eyes to a lot of other opportunities within this, residual income, having multiple streams of income. I really am interested in getting into coaching. That's my next endeavor. So there's just a lot of creative ways, and if you have a skill, there is a way to do it from your phone and your computer anywhere in the world. And if you're creative, just have to think creatively.
And I love too, when you dip into this online world and you start to get creative, in order to be successful, you have to open yourself up to meet people. And just so you guys know, Hannah is no longer my virtual assistant. I do have somebody else in that position, but we became best friends. She's literally one of my closest friends in the entire world now, and I got chills. We wouldn't. I'm sorry, but we wouldn't have connected if it weren't for this online world. And so I think people think that the online world is kind of devoid of connection, but I really think it's just a matter of how you use it. And if you can show up authentically, I have made more real connections from social media than I could have ever imagined. So I'm super grateful for that.
Right. And also that you are brave enough to put yourself out there and have these conversations, because there was a time in which you weren't connecting with your audience in that way, and realized that you could make those really deep connections with people. And I appreciate you opening my DM. I do.
I'm not gonna lie, my DMs are a little crazy these days. So if I don't respond to you, it's nothing personal, but I do respond to every single one of my comments on a photo. So if you have something that you want my attention, that is where you're gonna find it. Things have definitely grown in the last couple of years, so definitely feel free to connect with me in the comments here on YouTube. I'm still growing here, so I have tons of time here on YouTube, or in my comments on Instagram.
All right, how long did it take?
How long did it take?
How long?
I feel like it's still taking.
Yeah, right. Still growing. There's no destination.
But to make a full-time income, gosh, I don't know. I've always had kind of different streams of income. When I started my online health business, I was teaching yoga full time, and as my health business grew and my paycheck with that grew, I started just teaching less classes. So I was teaching 15 classes a week, and then as my paycheck grew a bit, then I taught 10, and then I dropped down. And so for a while, I still had some of those classes. It was over a year for sure before I got rid of any of those anchors.
Right.
I don't know, your story.
I mean, again, there's no destination with it. To be fully location independent and have that freedom, it was a lot of little baby steps. I had to leave a full-time marketing position, but then I got a retail job, but it was a little bit more flexible. And then I wasn't full-time with the Abundance Project, so having virtual assistant work, and eventually I would like to be completely self-employed versus, I am someone's virtual assistant right now, and doing work for their dreams and their goals, which is really, really cool. But yeah, I'm still in the process. It's just a lot of little, like, taking chances, absolutely, but also being smart about it because you have to pay your bills. So
yeah, and I think there's this level of refinement. So it's like, yes, you might get to a place where you're like, I'm making all my money online, but you might not necessarily be loving the work that you're doing.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's like just continuing to make steps forward, because just because you're working remotely doesn't mean your life is awesome. Like, just because you get out of an office doesn't mean like the struggles go away. There are still things that come up. So I think it's just that continual process of getting more and more aligned with what lights your heart up.
Yeah. And it's still hard work. It's even more hard work sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
Than someone telling you what to do.
Yeah, getting self-motivated. Actually, maybe we should answer that question now. That one was later, but a lot of you asked, like, how do you stay self-motivated and how do you stay disciplined? Not perfect at this at all, but a couple of things that come to mind for me. The biggest is time blocking. Time blocking means that, like, you schedule a chunk of time in your day to do certain things. So like with my different businesses, I have certain tasks that I have to do to get work done. I also have correspondence that I have to do, whether that's email or messages, content to create for different things. So I try to block off time in my calendar to do those specific things. Otherwise, it's really easy to be always working. It's really easy to allow your work to just bleed into everything else, because there's always messages I can respond to. There's literally always when you're your own business owner and you're working from your phone, there's always work that you could be doing. So it's really, for me, it's been really important to have boundaries.
That's the word.
Yeah. And then when you have those, you get more done. Like if I get more done in a short amount of time, if I'm like, okay, I only have 3 hours to work on this task, then I'll get it done in 3 hours. Otherwise, it could take 3 days.
Right. Giving yourself deadlines.
Oh yeah, deadlines are helpful.
And maybe telling a friend that you're going to have something done by X or Y date. Absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely agree with all of that. And to stay excited about what you're doing, you have to understand why you're doing it.
Oh, that's huge.
Obviously, the necessity is a big piece of it. If you are cutting everything out of your life, if you need to make money, you're going to get it done. And at the same time, working from a place of inspiration that what we're creating is impacting other people's lives, that excites me every day. And I think a lot of people talk about having a strong why, and that can change, but to just really understand the power of the work that you're doing, even if that's just helping someone else grow their business, it's massive.
That's so huge. I'm so glad you brought that up. It's awesome. Okay, so a lot of these are just kind of random, but important, and I want to answer them. So one of them was, how do you find spaces to work while traveling? And this is one of our first work travel trips like this, and we have a list of notes of things we would do differently, because what we learned is that both Hannah and I have done a bunch of traveling, but we never did it when we were digital nomads. Anyways, but we never did it when we were working remotely full time, and so I never was worried about having good Wi-Fi or any of those things, and so those are not necessarily things I've thought about while traveling. And so coming on this trip, we booked our spot, and we didn't realize that in order to do we both do a lot of video chats for work. You need really good Wi-Fi for that, or uploading. Oh my gosh, for uploading content, video content, things like that, you need really good Wi-Fi. So we definitely have notes about making better, looking for places that have better Wi-Fi connections, because it is actually really important, or bringing tools.
Yeah, a Wi-Fi extender, which would be very helpful, connects to a pre-existing network and amplifies it, so that, for example, we're sitting out on this beautiful patio where we're staying. we have no Wi-Fi here, but this would have been a really great place to work.
This would have been like this. Well, when we looked at the Airbnb picture, this is what we envisioned.
Yeah, so they had Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So some lessons learned, but always looking for a place. And your work might be different. You might just need a place where you can put headphones in and like dig in, especially if you're like editing and stuff like that. But for a lot of our work, we need good Wi-Fi. So little things like that.
Yeah. Did you reach out to people or let them find you?
It's such a millennial question.
I know.
Let them find you.
Yeah, they find you.
Okay, I don't mean
curiosity.
I mean this in a like really kind way, but I feel like everybody wants all of this to come to them. They want it to just fall in their lap. And I think people look at even someone like me who has a larger social media following, not here on YouTube yet, but over on Instagram, and they think that things just all like come to me. And at this point, there are brands that reach out to me to work together, but it's because I put myself out there so much in the beginning. And for my health food business, it's almost all putting myself out there, making connections and fostering those connections, making sure people feel important and heard and all of that. So I think that I think it's really important to be willing to show up and do the work. And I think that if you want to create an online income for yourself, whether it's through something like a health business, whether it's through being a virtual assistant, maybe you have dreams of being a social media influencer, it's not going to fall into your lap, whatever it is. You really have to show up to the challenge and put yourself out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Percentage of time working from your laptop versus a phone, and then how much time do you spend online each week?
Okay, I actually prefer to work from my laptop when I can.
Absolutely.
It's just my brain functions better. This thing is so tiny. I feel
it's
like
distracting.
I feel like the first wrinkle I'm gonna get in my life is gonna be the eyebrow furl, and because I'm like always like this. So yeah, I prefer to work from my laptop. Most of the work I can do from either, unless it's like actually posting to Instagram itself. Well, I guess I could do that from my computer if I wanted, but most of it can be from either. So I wouldn't say there's a set percentage. What I would say is like, if I have the space to work from my laptop, I prefer to work from my laptop. Absolutely. It's just like so much more comfortable. And then amount of time I spend online each week, it definitely varies. It varies a lot, but it's a fair amount. I spend a fair amount of time online. I don't know if I could put a number value.
I mean, I'm not look at your phone.
Not 40 hours a week. Not like 40, I'm not spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week on my phone by any means. But it's a decent, but I also, I spend maybe a little bit more time online than the average human, but I also spend a little bit or maybe a lot of more time outside adventuring than the average human. So I don't know if that equals itself out in the long run.
Well, and I think you've also worked to get to that place.
Yeah.
Because I definitely spend a lot of time on my laptop creating content and editing and graphics, all of that. And definitely it varies based on what I've got going on and what I've scheduled for myself. But yeah, I get to choose, so it doesn't really matter. And I also think that just because sometimes, for example, we'll be wandering around, like we're in Mexico and we're having a great time, but we're documenting. And sometimes those moments where you prefer to put your phone away, we're creating content, you're capturing the experience in a way, and you just have to, that's part of it.
Yeah, and I think that something that comes to me with this conversation is like working remotely is still working. And so I think a lot of people have in the back of their head that they're going to work remote and then they're just going to be able to do whatever they want. But like, it's still a job. Like, you're still having to show up and do the work. The nice thing about a lot of it is that you're able to do it like at your convenience. So like, I surfed all morning,
right.
And then I spent a lot of time on my cell phone and on my laptop doing work. I didn't have to be at an office at 8 a.m., but I still had like the work that I had to get done.
And we were laying on the beach responding to messages.
Yeah.
And great.
And having to be aware of like, okay, I have a call and I can take this call from the beach, but do I have good enough reception? Like, does the Wi-Fi reach out here? So, there's lots of little things that come into play with all of it.
Cool.
So one of the questions was, do I make money outside of YouTube? And like, you guys, I don't make any money here on YouTube. I started my YouTube channel because I wanted to connect with you. Well, at least those of you who are coming over from my Instagram. If you're finding me on YouTube, that's really cool. But I just wanted to connect with people in a deeper way. And I found like that video was feeling more creative. I've been doing Instagram consistently for over 4 years now. And I just was excited to do something new and start to like challenge myself. And I used to make all sorts of like snowboard edits and little edits and things when I was younger, and so when I make edits for YouTube, it just like taps back into that childlike creativity. So I don't make YouTube videos for money. I just make YouTube videos because I enjoy it. Yeah, I really like it. I really have a lot of fun with it. So, and then this next one, I need your face.
Oh, just type it in.
Okay, so this next one I wanted pretty much Hannah to answer exclusively because I think that she's the perfect person. Can you make a living without a big social media following?
Yes.
Do you want to elaborate?
Yes, absolutely. And the virtual assistant, it's a really great way, I think, to start. Obviously, to grow and have exposure is really, really important, but something that we always talk about, to have the right people following you that are aligned with what you're creating and what you're doing is much more important than a big number. And yeah, there's definitely a balance between the two. I make a living and I think I have just under 3,000 followers on Instagram.
And you had a lot less when you started too.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, just surrounding yourself with people that are getting, in front of their own camera a lot more often. Yeah, it definitely made me more comfortable with it, and to be proud of the life that I've created, and it's a responsibility to show other people that that's possible. So I definitely am actively sharing on social media, and I'm not necessarily attached to a number with growth, but I do know that usually means that you're connecting with more people. And so if you have 300 followers, amazing. Like, you don't need to have 1 million. Just keep showing up and sharing your story, and you will definitely, if you're creating graphic design, for example.
Yeah. Like Hannah said earlier, like if you have a skill set, it transfers. Like we live in such a world right now that like people are needing all these different skills that people have to offer in a digital way all the time. So if you have a skill that is valuable in any sort of office or job setting, it's most likely going to be valuable to somebody virtually as well.
Absolutely.
Whether you have 0 Instagram followers or 12 million.
Right. And grow that following while you're doing other things so that you have more options.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second to last thing was about health insurance, and generally speaking, you're going to have to get health insurance on your own, whether that be like private health insurance, or a lot of states actually have like subsidized health insurance plans that you can get if you make under a certain amount of money. Our health food business, like the Abundance Project, if you reach a certain like level of that business, then you actually do get health insurance, which I'm very close to at this point in time. So there are definitely ways, but generally you got to get creative and figure it out.
Yeah. Investing in yourself, in your business.
Yeah, somebody asked like, does it always have a big startup? And I felt like that it was so important, so important to talk about investing in yourself and in your business, because there's no way that either of our businesses would be where they are today if we hadn't invested in our own personal development, in the resources we needed to grow our businesses. So like for social media stuff, like I've had to invest in a lot of camera equipment and like time to learn skills that I didn't have before. The ability to public speak did not come naturally to me. I had to like invest in personal development, which made me feel brave enough and confident enough to sit here in front of a camera and have a conversation, to share my voice, those sorts of things, to be vulnerable online. I know a lot of you guys follow me on Instagram because I share vulnerable stories about myself, and I was not comfortable to do that before. And so investing in personal development that gave me the confidence to share that has changed my life in more ways than just my bank account and my paycheck.
Yes.
There's a big difference between spending money and investing money.
Absolutely.
Spending money is when you buy stuff like that
doesn't have a purpose.
Yeah, like it's just like it's because you want it. But investing money is something that you get a return on. Like investing in your business skills or investing in a course that will make you more confident in whatever you're doing.
Building a strong mindset.
So huge.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the things that it's not like you're not just spending money. So
you can also write them off.
That's true. Yeah, especially as an entrepreneur, you can write off these things that help you grow your business. So I'm glad you threw that
Yeah.
But I really want to like leave on that note of saying, like, if you want to do this, don't be afraid to invest in yourself, because basically, like, you're putting, whether that's time or money or whatever it is, you're showing yourself that you think you're worth it, and you're showing the world that you take whatever you're trying to do seriously.
Great.
So thank you for being here, Hannah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being amazing.
I love Arielle talk show.
I love her so much. If you don't already, go follow her on Instagram.
Help me grow my following.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe she'll have like a couple thousand extra after this.
Yeah, right.
But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if you liked this content, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel because it really helps me as I'm getting started. I know that this was like a kind of unconventional vlog, but I wanted to take the opportunity while we're doing something fun and unique to answer some questions that I get all the time. Most of the content from here on out is going to be about prepping for the PCT and that big adventure. So again, hit that subscribe button if you want to follow along, and I will see you guys next time.
Bye.